KFGM Ballroom sessions are made possible by generous donations from individuals, businesses, and organizations in our community. If you would like to be involved in supporting local music by donating to this program, please visit 1055kfgm.org, click the Donate Today button, and add a note saying that you'd like to support KFGM Ballroom sessions. Located in Missoula, Montana, Rattlesnake Cable Company makes high-quality guitar cables, microphone cables, low-profile patch cables for your pedal board, line buffers, and more. As musicians, we will spend all the rent on instruments and amps and microphones, often overlooking the importance of good cables to let those instruments shine through. These US-made oxygen-free bare copper cables preserve the high end of your signal, and heavy shielding ensures they are quiet and durable for years of use. Learn more at www.rattlesnakecables.com. Back to the Mother Kombucha is a locally produced party for your taste buds. You can find Back to the Mother Kombucha in stores all over the Five Valleys. Back to the Mother's mission is to seek out every alternative in sustainable practices to show how we, the people of this planet, the stewards of the earth, can live abundant, healthy lives in a manner that sustains the earth for generations to come. We may not know exactly what that looks like, but we are here to start the conversation. We are changing the dialogue about how ordinary people can change the world. Like their Facebook page to keep up with updates and events, and find out more at www.backtothemother.earth.
All things change but in an instant, hoping that they get this, but it's too distant. Or the voice rising, can't really miss this. 1055 KFGM sessions.
Are we showing interest in our community? Everything we got is just between you and me now. It's just open up to everything, so we just taking in the tranquility. But I'm just making sure you seeing the beauty again, huh?
You and me is unity. Can it be that we engage in another type of lunacy? Who is he? Who is they now? Might just see it speak they scream on the towel.
Yo, it's up and downs and it's roller coasters. Everything I wanna make sure I show ya. And it's just love and proud, so I really wanna hold it close to the dome because I know it's so golden.
Close to the dome, might cross the equator. Might be the one to say see ya later. On a 1055, check into the dial. Might be the kid that is passing all trials.
It's like Zach Morris to my EC Slater, but everything I'm doing is just right now. So if I really want to tick it up like I'm rice to taters, I think that everything I'm doing is just so out loud.
Right now it's a new stream session, hoping that you see it, but the steam makes it less than all to the more, no equal. I ain't trying to be the steeple, just trying to speak to the people.
I'm gonna give you some digits and that's fine. It goes from 105 to 0.5. And if the ballroom sessions are so live, you get to know us right now, so I'm holding on mine.
Holding on might engage in massacre. That's never a my line, never a reason to drain. Hoping not to complain, might just be the kid with status that's not maintained.
No complaints with things of this great, but it seems a way I need to try to misshape. I just know I wanna try to take away everything from the days that I rap and let it stay.
Let it stay like a local, not that bad. Might just come back from that new crack. Nah, you might crack the equation. 1055, that's the pace that we waited.
Yeah, and you can stream it if you're really debating. You can't tune in for the moment, but not just know that you win it to win and make sure that it's KFGM Morgan. I don't know right now, but I'm just kind of a different source.
KFGM.org. Might see it just as another type of sword. No glamour, please can handle me. Never really stammering. Might just be the one to whip out the glamour.
Now once you listen, you clamoring, making sure you hear the rappers are just coming in to win, and everything is just slapping. And I don't know if you really had to have it, but bad habits are created from the way that we do it. Hold the mics and grab them out.
Bad habits like eating a whole cake. I ain't trying to make nothing but a major mistake. Now major's the thirst that they slake. Hoping that you see it on the sessions, that ballroom, they take it.
Remember your raps, Jimmy, you wrote them. Remember your raps.
We do it little by little. We do it little by little. We do it little by little until we get it our way. Do it little by little. We do it little by little. We do it little by little until we get it our way.
Do it little by little, flow over dope instrumentals, more physical and digital. The rhymes are hot off the griddle. Rapping styles are pivotal, we're pivoting towards the critical. Simple in the beginning, but evolving lyrics became integral.
The symbol is cut apart of the dissident upper wave that is coasting or getting roasted is order a day. See the poke and see brain, see the shock I can catalyze, pushing daisy. Don't face me, the incident can't be summarized.
Sort of skies and prototype, there's more to life than hoarded dimes before you over time. Of course, sit down and know the price of stagnation. No more price of roll the dice, conceive greatness and birth it when it's worth a shine.
And do it little by little, we do it little by little, we do it little by little until we get it our way. Do it little by little, we do it little by little, we do it little by little until we get it our way. Work until it's worth the time of day, not willing to hide away. You'll catch us working smarter, not harder in our designer wave. I still a lighter shade of them that I'm used to when you're much more acclimated to lies. Who will we tell the truth
Montana
to?
faculty answers, curing hip-hop's disasters. Level the pedestal, I burn a fighter just canvas in the preamble. Win the battle, shouted from the top of mountains. Travel international, achieve with rapping in tandem.
Until we get it today, move in unusual ways. Show to the specters and shades of where our purpose is played. We collude with signal jammers, sit with a better master. Cannot know who we've been after till we descend from the rafters.
These pages are chapters of individual matters. I pass them out over slabs in a fashion action to make it happen faster. A tactical advantage puts in a position where they honor us. Mount Everest rappers on a summit rally in the party bus.
Sonorous now sounds a song of men. What was promised then will not be grifted or shivered. One arrow left in the quiver, one message left to deliver, comprised of abject shocking. From the bottom to the top, keep your steam non-stop, but then do it little by little. We do it little by little. We do it little by little until we get it our way.
Yeah.
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 Welcome to the Ballroom Sessions on KFGM 105.5 FM, streaming at 1055kfgm.org. This is Cory. Today I talk with local musicians Wormwood and Tonsofun and their producer Acre about their new project Speak Nay Scream. All right, let's start out, you guys. Go ahead and introduce yourselves if you wouldn't mind.
I go by Tons of Fun, a.k.a. Tons Delicious, a.k.a. Crazy Cat Guy.
I'm Wormwood. I'm from Montana, which is where we currently are.
I'm Acre. I'm a rapper and producer from Missoula, Montana.
All right, Tons, where are you from?
I'm from Clinton.
Clinton, Montana. I like it. Tell me about this project, Speak Nay Scream.
Yeah, just collaborative effort. 4 people in the mix. Homeboy played a lot. Acre played a lot. My cat played a very big role. We would, in order to start every song, we would pick 2 cat toys because he fetches and throw them, and whichever one he brought back, that's who would start the track. That's a fun thing.
That is, I like it.
But it was a year and a half, maybe a little longer endeavor. And honestly, and I say this as humbly as I possibly can, it's the best I've ever written.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that.
That is the best he's written or the best you've written as well?
I realize how that sounds now.
You're like, yo, I totally elevated your game, man.
No, I would definitely say, Tons and I have known each other definitely for as long as I've been doing music live. So through off and on, sort of, he's done a feature for, I think, one of my records.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was small inklings initially, and then we sort of just were like, we should do a record together.
It actually spawned from one single track that we did as just an offshoot that we were going to just use as a promotional track, which is on the record called Swamp. And we just did that, and we had such a great time with it. And then Acre started sending us more beats. And actually, that's not even true. You hit us up and asked what we were going to do with this song. And we're like, well, let's make it an album.
Yeah.
And then it turned into an album.
Yes, kind of. I made a couple beats, and they did that song, and they wanted to do a video for it. Because at the time, I was doing more videos, and I kind of tricked them a little bit, and I was like, I don't really want to do a video for one song. Let's make an album, and then we can talk about videos, because then it'll be a video for a larger project. And then over the course of bringing Wade Made in, who's the other producer on the album.
Is he the fourth? You said there's 4 people
Yeah.
involved. Wade
Yeah.
Made's the fourth? Okay.
Yeah. And I just tricked them into doing a whole album and letting me do it all. And then I never made a video for them.
Are you?
That was my long. That was my long game.
It was a straight up fair trade.
We're on that step now. I'd say we're on the video concoction step.
Although I do want to say I feel a little used that I got tricked into making an album.
You got tricked into writing the best you've ever written.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry.
Got me.
I'm gonna have to agree as a listener to this project and hearing some of your guys' projects in the past. I want to say, as a listener, I think this is some of the best stuff I've heard coming out of you guys.
Thank you.
The delivery, the production, everything. Was it more of a concept album? Did you have an idea for the whole album to come out, or in?
Not really. We kind of just open aired, created as it went.
Yeah.
Collaborative effort then?
Yeah, absolutely.
For me personally, writing has always been a singular sort of effort. Like having another person in the room has gone from making it impossible to write to being difficult to now being extremely easy. So I would say if there's any concept, it's like the power of being able to collaborate with someone and being comfortable enough to go through that kind of motion, because it is like, it's a process. Absolutely. I would say that if either one of us had endeavored to make a record with some other person, it would come out completely different. You know?
100%. Including, Wade made an acre as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing, too, is like it seemed like everybody had the same notion of not necessarily what we wanted the finished product to look or sound like, but that we were all shooting for the same goal of a finished product.
Yep.
And that and just how loose it was and how fun it was super conducive. And like you said, like if that would have been just me in a room by myself, I don't think it would have been nearly as expressive as it was having because when him and I would meet up to write, it was fun, and then it was writing. This whole project has been, even recording, it was going we would talk for 20 minutes before we would even step up to the mic, and it was just really personable and just easier in terms of from creation to recording to even getting the mix and masters to the artwork. The whole thing was just very fluid. It seemed like it was supposed to happen.
Acre, were you more of an artist director on this? Is that your art on the cover?
On the cover, yeah, and that wasn't intended. I really tried to, because we've released a few albums, me and Wade made, and myself solo. And on this one, it was the first album where I wanted to. My initial pitch to them was, I want to make all the songs for your album and just have it be one whole package. And then Wormwood had done an album with Wade made called Juiska last year. So he had some music from him and wanted to incorporate him in the mix. And Buddy and I have a production group together, so that was not an issue at all. But my main focus was I didn't want to do anything other than that. I didn't want to rap, not that they asked me. I didn't want to.
No fear of that. Don't.
I didn't want to shoot the video at a certain point. I didn't want to do the video. I didn't want to do photography. These are all things that I do for fun. But in this project, I really wanted to just focus on the one thing, and I think that's part of what made it so easy to do. Is that I didn't have to worry or stress about anything. I didn't have to bug them about anything. So when the album was done, I was at a point where I was like, well, I feel like doing some art. Because these guys are real touring MCs. There's not many guys in Missoula that do the road like they do in hip hop. So I wanted to give them something that they could maybe sell. And so I started working on what eventually became the cover. They had a different cover, and thankfully, when they saw it, they liked it enough that they decided to make it the cover, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, it definitely. It's for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a bear and a mountain lion locked in battle over a kind of a stand-up crooner's microphone. I'm not really sure the official terminology for one of those, but what really appealed to me about it is the color, the background on which they are. It's more than just like a simple base color. It's like sort of tapestry-esque, and what it really reminds me of is like a crest, like a medieval crest.
That's the vibe. I get a flag of some sort.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I got a sheet of acid. That's what I saw. I can see, yeah, no, absolutely. Like really, really good.
That's funny. And I didn't set out to do this, but the vibe I got closest to it when I was done with that background was cross stitch. Like a home sweet home kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But it looks weird because I didn't start out that way. That's how the background ended up. But it ends up being this weird like painting on cross stitch or a sheet of acid, which I like. I like that better. I was going to say that from now on.
Oh yeah, God, I think I found a new thing down on merch table.
Right, blotter sheets for the.
So yeah, to answer your question, the music was definitely the first thing, and then everything else was basically when I was done with my portion. I was like, well, I got more time, so I can do more to help.
I like it. It sounds like a collaborative effort. You're all inspired by each other, which kind of created this whole thing.
Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, we are, I would say, musically inclined insofar as the thing that we want to do the most is make really good music, And as time has gone on, for me personally, the package around that visually. And not only visually, but even in terms of like mixing and mastering, those things become more important when you realize that in order to have your sound really effectively communicated, you have to like refine it and work on it, And so being able to endeavor in a collaborative way with people like this, it's both new and familiar, if that makes sense. Like
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I was definitely felt like it was a very easy process. Like I've tried to collaborate with people before and it's been results have varied.
That was going to be my next question. If you guys have tried some sort of collaborative effort like this,
I did. When I first started rapping, I was part of a group called Nito Bendito Frito, and that was in the late '90s, early 2000s. Shout out Jay's Upstairs.
Right.
But other than that, like I did do one track with this group I was a part of, Zoo Effort, with an unnamed MC, and we went on a bunch of tours, but it was like, it felt that it was very much one-sided. Like I felt that I was more pushing everything from like, yo, let's write, yo, let's tour, yo, let's do this or do that. And that didn't happen even for an instant on this. Like there was no pressure given from anybody minus what's up with that.
Is each song, when you say that, like a 50-50 effort, you want to feel more of that? Was each song?
No, there's a couple songs on the album where Worm has more lines than I do, and there's a couple where I have more than he does. Yeah, we never sat down and were like, yo, 16 bars, 8-bar hook, blah blah blah. We just listened to the music and let the music like he once said when we were recording that we didn't need to use the whole Buffalo because he would send us like what he considered outlines of beats and then we would make a song out of it.
Right.
So there's like songs where we have like 24-bar verses, a 4-bar hook, a 4-bar verse, a 12-bar hook, like we just kind of just went with how we felt at the moment.
And that's one of the most unique things about this album. And Justin from Codependence mentioned this as well, is that most rap songs will have a formula to them. It's a radio formula that most people just abide by. I would make these beats, these like sketches of things, and I would send it to them. And then rather than them coming back and saying, can you move this here? There was a little bit of restructuring, but very small amount. They would say, rather than them saying, okay, can you make this verse longer or this chorus longer or this or this or this, they would just come in and be like, we're ready to go. Like, do you want to make any changes? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, I guess we'll just go then. And at first that was odd to me, but I think it created such an interesting sound. Just them going back and forth is interesting in itself, but the way they do it, and it's never boring.
The way you play off each other on the album, it's... I don't know. Some of the back and forth is just incredible. I like
Thank
it a
you.
lot.
Yeah, one of the thing that Erica Fredrickson, that's how you say her last name? She said it was like a rhyme balloon, and we were playing the game of not letting it touch the ground. that hit
That's a
home.
great
That was,
description
like, legit,
of it.
Yeah, because it was, and like we would write like either I would be writing my verse or he'd be writing his verse, and then the other person be in a separate room, and then come back and like, so what's your last bar, and then you write it down, and then that's how either of our verses would start. So it definitely was as collaborative as it could be. I think we only did one song where we wrote our parts separate from each other. But that was the intention of the song too.
Yeah, exactly.
It was meant to sound like two different songs in one.
Aker here just recently mentioned that he's into photography, making videos. you guys have any other creative outlets other than hip hop, writing songs, music?
Well, I'm the best basketball player over 300 pounds right now.
That's good. I like that. Over 300, under 6'7"?
Yeah. I started a country band with Aaron Jennings, Waylon Aaron Jennings. And we're concentrated on covering a lot of outlaw country. And I'm like brushing up on my harmonica skills a little more, which I just remembered that I forgot my harmonicas. Yeah. So I was going to rock on today. You got any harmonicas, Matt?
It's funny, just as a side note on how incestual Missoula music can be, I actually sent beats to Aaron Jennings a week ago.
Nice. Dope. Well, hopefully we use one.
He says he's writing some weird shit, so we'll see.
And how about you?
I do some nonfiction writing, a little photography. I dabble in everything else. Music production has been the first thing that I've done, besides, I would say, short fiction, where I really felt like it was a natural fit for me, you know? Like, oh, is that me squeaking?
That's you squeaking.
Anyway, the thing about it is, like, the way that my process has been through my life has been starting out by writing high concept, long form fiction, like, what was it, 400, 500 pages. Done with that, move on to something shorter, short fiction, 15 to 50 pages. Go to college to learn more about the elements and style of poetry, so it's even more condensing. And then from there, actually, you know, I was going to say that rap is a condensed form of poetry, but that's not even really true. I would say that hip-hop, rap in general, is much more sprawling than just a poem on its face.
And that's kind of what I was going to get to. Listening to you, do you consider yourself a writer first or a musician first?
Writer first, because that's how I started, but I've been writing music since I was 14.
And then, how about you?
Musician first.
Musician first.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say when I listen to you. It seems, I mean, you tell stories, both you tell incredible stories in your songs, so I was curious if it came from a writing background, which...
Yeah, I went to the U. I have an undergrad, and when it came time to decide whether master's or further was for me, I'm still on the fence about it.
Right.
Both of my parents are educators, so I've already been privy to the like how the sausage gets made on that front.
Well, you told us a great story about your student loan debt earlier. So.
Oh yeah.
Hold up. You really wrote a 400 to 500 page
It's not
story?
It's not good.
That doesn't matter, man. That's like props.
How long have you consider yourselves lifelong musicians? How long have you been doing music?
Woo. Interesting. It depends on what you mean by doing music. You know, like in terms of taking it seriously and touring and like concentrating on finishing projects like, you know, Speak Nay Scream, I would say 10 years. But if we're talking about making sounds and like my life driven from the force of creation of music, I would say since I was 9.
Well, it just seems like you have a lot to say, and it had to come out somewhere, some way.
Once I felt comfortable to say it, like when I was with Nito, you know, when I was 19, 18, 17, it was silly. Like I didn't have anything to say because I didn't have enough life to say anything.
Exactly.
Reject, release, tepid is the campaign speech. Bend, stretch, reject, replace, terror wears a smiling face. A smattering of batter covers up the wound exposed. Long ways to vacate, the tenement becomes road. The smile speaking endless, but there's something on the tip tongue. Puts in such a self-effacing way becomes a grip. Now who do you speak for? Aren't the meat more your speed? Catching wing through the cases, determining the screed. Hit them with the band and fusillade. Coolers all uncompensate. Hard targets, mark quick and callous display. Handle with care or don't. Either way, you're still tugging at the sleeve of your parents' day today. Where do you see yourself in 5? Does it matter where you're placed? The questions come to Rachel, but what did they really say? Bend, stretch, reject, release, tepid is the campaign speech. Bend, stretch, reject, replace, terror wears a smiling face. Yeah, bend, stretch, reject, release, tepid is the campaign speech. Bend, stretch, reject, replace, terror wears a smiling. Tripping over something, living still I'm rushing, cutting through the lines, red table service stuffing in this mechanical limo, and those capitals been enough for the deal cut. Or are we rambling after all and are all cannonballs parachuting out of the halls, destroying the art? Scuff up every wall, obey the call, only on its face. Inside rhetoric replaced with something better made for the situations imposed today. Carried away by the unrelenting cascade. The makers of law are occupiers of grave. Give us 20 or so years, you'll be feeling the same. Please go pull at my cable and cut it away. Bend, stretch, reject, release. Tepid is the campaign speech. Bend, stretch, reject, replace. Terror wears a smiling face. Bend, stretch, reject, release. Tepid was the campaign speech. Bend, stretch, reject, replace, 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 replace. Ran out of gas at the fan and passion. Him in the fabric, back in the battle. Led by example, turned to so ported back to Norman. I'm a storm in the castle. Never votes for asking for more than just cattle. Gotta look inward and grab hold lastly, attacking goals before crashing. Finally gas and find my way out of the labyrinth. The gauntlet and the gamut of dirty intentions and bad habits. Thought it was the world holding me down, but those were my latches. Avalanches of that took the remnants, built a palace. Finally moving matter, ascending ladder through grammar. A formal homeless battle, a morph to a formative amateur. Move over pros, I got flows of the habiter. Now that I'm kind of out of my way, I guess it's time to get back to work. Get back to first processes to nerves, logic purge body, not as a third party, but do largely to hurting on his feet. On top of a Larkin beat, a part of me's about to feast so heartily, offering steps when it's obviously leaked. I've spent time rising for the long-term benefit, the heaviness of the weight holding me down. Not missing it, projecting the future where I'm living big a little bit. Not mentioning this shit I get more how my spirit is. Yep. I spent time rising for the long-term benefit, the heaviness of the weight holding me down. Not missing it, projecting the future where I'm living big a little bit. Not mentioning shit I get more how my spirit is. Yeah. Fat rappers at your service. More how my spirit is. Yep. Shout out Missoula Independent Radio. Yeah. Hey. Speak, nay, scream. We love y'all. Get it anywhere and everywhere, y'all. Much love.
You mentioned something about being a live on stage performance. You said you've known him since you started doing that.
Yeah. I had never really in that capacity anyway. Like I had little projects in high school or whatever. But as far as getting up in front of people and doing original tunes, like that started pretty much as soon as I was out of school. And Tonzo was the guy that really, I would say, opened the gate for me on that, just like in terms of making it a much more realistic proposition to actually like go and put yourself out there and be like, I would like to play a show.
More obtainable for you.
Yeah. I would definitely say like there's something of an invisible barrier at first when you first start producing your own original content of any kind, and you feel like performing it live is like it's like crossing the Rubicon. It's like climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or whatever. It's this big thing. It's a huge endeavor the first few times you do it, and to do it, oftentimes one does need like a person to be that kind of catalyst. And Tonzo, for me, it was like, I had the idea of going out. I knew there were live shows going on in Missoula, but as far as how to do it and how to get there, I had no idea. And I just randomly reached out to him, and he let me know. He put me on game, as the kids say.
I hear the kids saying that.
but for real, it was like, honestly, I would definitely say that I owe Tonzo a lot just from that,
And who showed you the ropes, Tonzo? Who do you have to thank for that, or was that all self-starter?
No one's a self-starter. Real talk. The first time I ever performed in front of anybody ever, this is so awesome. I get to tell this story. In front of anybody at any time was my senior project in high school, and I made a rap video / song called Senior Project for Me to Poop On. And there's reasons behind it. I won't get into that. But then we just after we saw I got a B on that. I should not have gotten a B. And then we got an offer to play because of just random Missoula connections. Got an offer to play Jay's Upstairs when I had just graduated high school, and we just went over big. Like, people really liked what we did, and then we just kept going and going and going. And then I ended up getting kicked out of the band for proper reasons. And then, you know, I was still doing, you know, MC battles and stuff in this town, and then I moved back from Washington. And like the day that I moved back, I ran into one of the people who was part of the Inhumans, who used to be Nito Bandito Frito. And he offered me an opening gig 8 days later, and I had 0 songs, and I wrote a full 20-minute set and memorized it in 8 days. And that was the start of Tonsofun.
Who is that person?
Austin Valley. Shout out. Ivory Coyote.
Shout out.
And you know, we all had different influences earlier in our stuff versus now. Who are some of your early influences? I mean, I know as a visual artist, when I look back at my work, I find myself trying to mimic people that I admired before I really found my voice. Did you guys all kind of have that same learning?
Oh, absolutely.
Growing
Yeah.
pains?
The Far Side was the very first rappers that I heard that I realized I was capable of making rap music, because they were the first people that I heard that used funk, comedy, like, you know, setups. They were just, and they're still super influential to me.
They functioned as a unit.
That too, as well. And like when we started, it was, you know, it was me and 2 other people, Austin Valley and Kyle McAfee, and yeah, it was because all I heard prior to was gangster city stuff, and I couldn't relate to that. You know?
Right. I have to agree. Farside rapped about things that I felt like I knew about. They were universal enough truths that.
Everybody has a fat mom,
Right. How about you?
I guess to give it a semi different spin on the subject, I would say Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse was probably one of the first people that I really, I guess, identified with both as a person and songwriter. You know, being 16 and listening to Lonesome Crowded West, and really feeling like this guy, not just because he mentions Papa Montana in the first song,
Right.
but I mean, just the like, and not to obviously the guy's gotten his due amount of shine, but he really does communicate exactly where he is emotionally and mentally within each song. And I would say that, and just the pure energy. That was actually one of the first live shows that I went to. Was they were touring just a tour, I believe. Good News for Bad News hadn't even been announced. This must have been like 2005 or 6.
Was that at the Blue Heron?
No, it was in an auditorium in Billings.
Okay.
But yeah, it was them in Camper Van Beethoven, and a lot of that, like seeing the guy from Camper Van Beethoven just doing a huge, really like mind-boggling set, complete with visuals, like audio cues and all this. And then to go back and see him with the little biker's light on his head, just signing stuff, it's like, it's humanizing, and it really does make somebody feel like that's something that they could do too.
Takes away that whole rock star glamour limousine thing.
Yeah, exactly. Peels away the layers. Those kinds of, I mean, to me, unnecessary layers that are, you know, just kind of a form of posturing for a lot of people.
That's funny you mentioned that. That album was very influential.
Yeah.
To me growing up as well.
Oh,
Both
yeah,
of those Far
absolutely.
Side and that Modest Mouse. How about you, Aker?
There's a lot of stuff in the 90s I could point to that we could all point to, like Wu-Tang and Nas and Dre, like both coasts, but like
Kid Rock.
yeah. But I mean, even like,
Loud Posse.
I mean, when I was the coming of age, I guess I would just as easily listen to DOS Effects as I would like Pearl Jam, and put them both in that same pedestal of like how important they were at the time. But for me personally, there's no one that can really come as close to Definitive Jux in like
there you go.
early
Yeah.
2000s, because that whole crew of like Aesop and LP and Hangar 18, Mr. Liff, RJD2, them at that point at my age, it's like I can look at that, and it's not. I don't look at this in a negative way, but I can't see anything in my life from this point on being as influential as those guys were at that moment in my life. Like I remember where I was standing when I first held an Aesop Rock album because of the effect it had on me later that day when I first heard it. I was blown away.
Which album was that?
Labor Days.
Word up.
Yeah.
That's funny to bring it all back sort of to the Missoula music scene, is that I've seen all 3 of those artists, or Def Jux, they all played here. The Modest Mouse, I saw a real intimate show. Far Side, I saw at the
Worst show I've
lunchroom.
ever seen.
I'm going to agree with you on that.
Worst show I've ever seen.
Especially when they start talking about,
Dude, it
The
was
Far
a-
Side show?
Yeah, dude, it was $35. They played, and this was
Whoa.
back in the day, so it was like $6 an hour is what most people were making.
And it was
So
in the
it's-
Copper Commons at the university.
yeah, and they played maybe 45 minutes total with a huge set break.
Can I just ask a real quick question, sort of riffing off of that influences thing? What was the first piece of music you ever bought?
Paid money for her?
Yeah.
Hootie and the Blowfish Crack Rear View.
Was it cassette or CD?
It was a CD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Larkin?
But my first real record, I stole Run DMC.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I couldn't be able to point at anything I bought until I was like 10 or 11 or 12 because my brother had such a vast collection of just like whatever I wanted to dig into. He I would definitely point to as one of my main influences. Like, the guy is just a huge cipher of knowledge.
Shout out, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dave's the man.
We all have someone in our lives that kind of led us with music and turned us on to stuff. Oh, check this band out, or mixtapes back in the day.
So that's why the first piece of music I actually bought was Hello Nasty by the Beastie Boys on cassette.
That's a good.
What about Larkin?
Acre, yeah, let's hear
How old are
you.
you?
30. Gonna be 30.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah, how old is everyone? How old are you, Tons?
I'm 36.
All right.
38.
All right.
How old are you? You can put us on, bud.
I just turned 40 this year. I'm 40. On that album, I think it was Sir Mix-a-Lot Swass. I want to say Michael Jackson Thriller I begged for, and might have got that for a gift, but I went in to buy something, and the guy at the music store pulled my mom aside. That was parental advisory days. And
Oh my gosh.
he was like, no, have him buy this. And so I got Sir Mix-a-Lot Swass, which Posse on Broadway was on that. It was a hot, but in hindsight, kind of funny.
That's funny.
I feel like, are you talking our own money or just bought
Yeah.
in general? I mean, I feel like it was, I want to say Bon Jovi something. Like
Okay.
Slippery when wet.
No, maybe, but I want to say Young Guns 2 soundtrack.
It's a good one.
Yeah, but,
Blaze of
but
Glory.
Vanilla Ice was also in there. I will not front like that. I love that record because as a kid, I was just like in awe of that dude. Like, because he introduced that music to me.
Totally.
I kind of knew what it was. I'd heard it in the ether, but like he was the guy that brought that to me.
I
Same
bet
with like
all of
Beastie
us
Boys,
still
too.
know every lyric to that song, even though
Everybody knows every, like my wife drops that. If someone says something about a problem, she'll just be like, "Yo, I'll solve it." Like out of nowhere, you know.
That's awesome.
that is funny.
I actually have a cassette recording of myself acting like I was in this very situation when I was like 12 or something, and I was playing the radio host, and then the guest was Vanilla Ice, and I rapped the whole song. I still have that cassette too.
And Vanilla Ice was like, "You want to take my place on tour?"
Oh no, dude, it'd be like, I'd be like, hello, question. Then I come in like, yeah, yo.
we all had our Flavor Flav voice back in the
I
day.
love
so-
that.
I don't have a tape player anymore, but I have the
I know.
cassettes, so-
Yeah.
We need to unearth some of that for the next record.
Right.
Hey, Sage
sample.
Francis did a bunch of that. You
know.
know, he dug up a bunch of his old tapes.
How about influences now, today? I mean, I feel I go through different feels with music. Sometimes like, man, nothing good's out these days. And then I'll find a gem in there.
Yeah.
I might just be a grumpy
Well,
old man.
I'll go ahead and start by saying that I personally draw a lot of influence from stand-up comics now. Like, in terms of observing how, and this is something that I never would have thought about before I started doing live music, but in terms of how they themselves handle the crowd, how they sort of like can feel out how they're supposed to go through their routine, how things are supposed to fit, and how they are fitting in this particular instance. You know, there's a lot of like moving parts involved with doing any kind of live content, and comedians really, they don't have any safety net. It's just their voice.
I'm in a mic, yeah.
Yeah, and so like to really, like, obviously I don't have any kind of scientific metric, but you know, I look at people like Todd Barry, who is able to command people basically just by insightful sentence choice. Like he chooses his words carefully enough where that the thing that he says keeps him in complete control, no matter how unruly the crowd is getting.
You do stand up too, right?
I've dabbled. I definitely won't say that that's one of my things, but I write it still and I dabble.
You wrote a 500-page set. No big deal.
The problem is that I'm not funny.
I feel like
Funny though,
you're
yeah.
lucky having comedians being influenced with podcasts. I feel like they're so obtainable now. Like they're so. When I was a kid, you'd have to stay up and wait for those late night sets, and
Right.
now you can just hear, the
Dude,
talking.
It's on Netflix. Like everywhere you could want to watch. Pretty much.
I'm gonna say that convenience is also like stifling the art a little bit. Like as especially as a hip hop artist in Montana, back in the day, I used to either have to know somebody or go to the store myself and look at who was producing, like read all the credits so I knew who was cross-referencing. Like it was much more of an effort to be a fan now. Now you can like open up your phone and get 5 notifications because there's 7 albums open. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think it's kind of cheapening every art form, really.
Right. That's a good point you made. That you used to have to kind of dig and know someone or
Yeah.
get put on somehow.
Yeah, like I don't know how many artists I've discovered that have really like opened up my peripheral of what it is possible to be an MC because I decided to buy a ticket I couldn't afford to a show I didn't know about. And now, like the perfect example, I played for Rookies a couple years ago. There was 10 rappers for $3. And there was a group of young ladies that I was like $1 a piece, and they didn't want to pay $1 a piece because they didn't recognize a name. But that's how I used to discover music.
Right,
It was
just
exactly that.
Well, you mentioned Jay's Upstairs. That was my hangout. I can't name how many bands I, just showed up touring
Discovered,
every night.
yeah.
Which was such a gem for Missoula, the touring acts that came through in that place. You mentioned being a rapper or being in Montana. How about being a rapper from Montana? You're all from Montana. Being a fan of hip hop. I know growing up, I sort of felt out of the loop being in Montana with hip hop. Mm-hmm. What sort of obstacles as hip hop artists in Montana have you felt? Any at all?
Besides geographical location, none. As a matter of fact, when I tour, I've said this multiple times. When I tour, if I was from San Francisco, Portland, New York, Chicago, whatever, I would not get the love that I get now. And that's because there's a certain surprise with like, you're from Montana? And then I actually grab the mic and do what I do. And people like, they're more enthused to engage me because I'm an anomaly almost. I'm a novelty.
Yeah.
I've been hip hop culture since I was 5. Like I said, the first thing I ever had was a stolen Run DMC tape. But that said, like I'm not going to walk into a big city being like, I know about hip hop culture.
Right.
I usually just let things play out the way that I'm, the way they're naturally supposed to be. But I know what I'm capable of, and I'm confident in what I do. That said, I guarantee I wouldn't get the love that I get when I travel the country if it wasn't for being from Montana. I know that.
Do you play into that at all? I mean, I hear in some of your songs you drop Montana.
I drop Montana the same way any rapper drops anywhere they're from.
Yeah.
No, totally, because it's what you know where you're from. Exactly.
Absolutely, and I'm really proud to be from here. On a personal, like, social interaction level, I don't play into it at all. I play into the falsehoods, like we don't have running water and blah
Ride
blah
our
blah.
horse to
Like,
school.
please don't come up here. Come spend your money and then get
Right.
But I mean, I don't ever dissuade it. I'm never telling them they're wrong. I just let people believe what they want to believe and know what I know.
Right.
I would say that's definitely like on the track with the whole Montana thing. It's like I would expect this to become less of a thing, less of a factor. But if anything, as time has gone on, it's become more of a factor as Montana starts to, or not even start to, as Montana continues to be regarded in sort of a national scope as one thing. That is to say, very conservative, very tight knit, very
Hillbilly.
Yeah. And then to be another thing from that place, it really does, like, people's expectations are completely shattered.
Yeah, it's like being able to fit in to a situation no one expects you to be able to fit into, but not only fit into it, but be kind of one of the better ones of it.
Exactly. It's like, there's so many times where people just expect you to
Suck.
yeah, and to just come up and be like, well, hey, how's everybody doing? And
You gave it a try.
and we like to play into that sometimes, really throw on the accent or whatever. But then when it comes time to actually do do the rapping. we didn't do the rapping.
We don't do it. Yeah, that helps the stereotype.
And it, not to mention, I think when people conceive of like, I guess what a rapper might look like, you guys, neither one of your appearance would fit that kind of mold.
I was just going to touch on that. Yeah. When I first heard Wormwood, I was bartending and I heard him on stage, and then I had to walk around a little divider wall to see him. And who I heard and who I saw, I was like, not at all. And same with you, Tons. It was completely.
Yeah.
But that's honestly as hip hop can be, really.
Exactly.
You know, like, because it's supposed to be an everybody thing. It's supposed to be the music for the people, the culture for the people, from the people, by the people. Wow, I just sounded a little too preachy.
Well, and I didn't mean to come up with a cliche question, but on my next, that's sort of what I was touching on, being white from Montana, small town life.
I'm actually half Mexican.
Are you? I didn't mean to make any assumptions.
I'm really offended.
I apologize about that. But you guys talk about staying true to hip hop. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? What are you staying true to? In a few of your songs, I noticed.
That's crazy. That's crazy loaded. I would say the most for me. I mean, yeah.
And it's got to mean something different than everyone else.
And that's kind of the point. Is it should be individualistic. It should be true to who you are, true to what you know. Hip hop started urban, but it's expanded so far. I mean, there's Serbian rappers. You know what I mean? Like it's moved past the Bronx like leaps and bounds. So if I was on the stage rapping about being a millionaire, about the guns, blah blah blah, the thing that the thing that that like the general public sees as what hip hop is supposed to be, going back to your last question, you had to walk around a divider wall and what you heard wasn't what you saw.
Right.
That's the problem almost with it. You know what I mean? It shouldn't matter how you look, because I mean, in that case, women shouldn't be rapping.
Well, I guess I meant to say it was pleasantly surprised.
Pleasantly surprised, but I'm saying like it's pleasantly surprised because you're a pleasant human being. That doesn't happen all the time. Like when I first started rapping, people, like I literally was rapping one time and somebody came up with a knife and cut the cord. Like I've had people shut off the sound. I've had people turn off the music, turn off the lights. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't a rapper. You know, I'm not up there in basketball shorts and jerseys with a headband, because that's when I was coming up. That's what it was.
Right, FUBU.
You know, but a lot of things have changed. You know, a lot of things have changed, and you know, Eminem was a huge part of that. He was the first person to be like, it's okay to be white and be a lyricist. You know, and like, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of his music, Macklemore even took it up further than that, because he's like this clean cut white dude from like upper middle class Seattle that like dude can rhyme, you know, and I don't know. I think hip hop, to me, to be real to hip hop is the same as being real to yourself. If you're real with this art form, then you're going to be real with yourself. There's no personas. Really. And if you're making a persona, I'm already not going to dig you.
And I think that translates to the audience. We can tell that you're talking about what you know.
Yeah, I'm tons of fun on and off stage, man.
Yeah.
How about you?
Let me put it this way. I'm from the Fort Peck Reservation, which is definitely one of the more fallow tracts of land, not only in Montana, but, you know, in a national scale. There's really just not a whole lot there. The place that I came up in and the environment that I learned was to sort of put a hat on it. You know, it's a situation that's inner city and that is like low resource, which is something that you can find no matter where you go across the country and across the world. So I would say that what I'm being true to is the notion that hip hop is the kind of thing that is accessible, not only accessible by everybody, but doable and attainable. Like to be able to put together X amount of songs and to do them live. You know, it's in any other musical function, it takes a lot of working between other people, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And with hip hop, it can be literally just that start, that one mic, that one person deciding that they have something inside of them they need to express and that they would like to say. And that is what I would say I'm staying true to, is that expressive nature. Mm-hmm. No matter the boundary, it is bounded over. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it is really I would say, the most universal expression, hip hop.
And I will add on to that and say it's also the most criticized form of music.
Yeah.
And even to further that, it's the most criticized form of music within the music itself. Like, I find myself constantly seeing MCs being like, you know, like, you ain't got the chops. Like, let's battle. Like, how often does that happen in classical music, rock, jazz music? You know what I mean?
Yeah, rock bands rarely are talking about each other.
Right, but it's like such an embedded part of hip hop culture to be like, and especially getting the older that I'm getting, the more I'm like, youngin', show me what you got. You know what I mean? This that I dealt with when I was younger. You know, the same stuff when I started touring. I started touring at 29. When I started touring, I was still called youngin', and I'm like a year younger than these people sometimes. You know what I mean? But they've got the clout, and like it's such a judgmental music. It's so weird.
When it goes by the eras too. Like we're hitting that age now where when I was a kid and all these rappers were coming up, all the 80s people would say, he's not better than Rakim. Nas isn't better than Rakim. No one will ever be better than Rakim. I was like, cool, of course he's better. Listen to him. But now that I'm older, people are talking. They talk bad about 90s era rappers, and it's, again, rock music doesn't do that unless it's like a one-hit wonder or something like that. Right. But no, they revere their classics. Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Bob Marley, whoever, they will always be classics. It's not like the next generation afterwards is like, oh, Led Zeppelin's cliche. This is the new best rock band. It doesn't work that way.
This is the first time in hip-hop.
They add to that music, whereas we try to detract as we go.
I think that's a new thing, because now, like, these new because all the MCs I came up with, all the MCs I respect pay homage, you know, like but it's this new generation now. If you don't like what someone's doing, you're just called old and washed up. You know, like I can't, like, from my experiences, I'm not saying it's across the board, but you know, like R.A. the Rugged Man is one of the best MCs ever. Listen to that guy talk, and it's all about reverence, and it's all about, you know, he understands that he had a way paved and that he's paved his own way. Then listen to Lil Yachty talk about, like, how he is being confronted with, well, are you're hurting the art form? Are you not really a rapper? Well, you just old and washed up, man. I'm a rock star. You know, it's more of a lifestyle. It's more of a persona than it is like staying real to hip hop, like we were talking about.
Yep.
That's strictly hip hop.
Oh, those are good answers. I like that. It's funny. I have, you know, we all have an acquaintance who frequents this studio that's younger, and I find myself, he's a hip hop artist, and I find myself kind of battling him. Like, his influences are, you know, Triple Extension, or however you say his name, Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert, and they're like, man, this guy's the best. And I'm like, oh man, it's not the best. You haven't heard Big L. You haven't heard this. You haven't heard this. And then they're just like, that same thing. They're old. They're washed up. They have no interest in it. I mean, so maybe it is a new generation thing.
Or even if you have respect for him, though, like, when I was 15, I could respect Grandmaster Flash. I could respect even like Kane, like guys just before my era. But if to put them quality-wise, I would never put them above the person I just found that day. Yeah. So I almost give the kids now who were like, you know, XXXTentacion is the best ever. I give them leeway when I'm like, well, have you heard like Nas or Jay or Big? And they're like, no. I understand where they're coming from when that happens.
But the difference in the two generations is one was forging a cultural, like, ravine. Like, hip hop didn't exist with the Canes that you're talking about. That generation was forged through those guys. So you could not have had the opportunity to even participate in the art form if it wasn't for those people. But it's so far removed, and there's been so much saturation within the art form itself that it's easy for a Tekashi 6ix9ine or a Extension to be like, whatever, man, I'm just doing my own thing and blah, blah, blah.
But at some point, they don't have to pay respect to Kane and these progenitors of the art because it's so far away.
I disagree with that.
It's not like I'm not shouting out Muddy Waters.
Like, no, I'm not saying you're shouting out or like defending these people, but I'm saying they absolutely should. Anybody that's ever done anything before you to forge the way that you're doing something easily within and not as hard as they had to do it, you should have to own respect to. Like, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. Like, it wouldn't be possible for these people to do what they're doing without the people that did it before them.
So could a kid coming up these days say, oh, I respect him, but never listen to him?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, there you go. Yeah. That's the catch-all. They can just be like, word, peace to everybody.
I shout out to them.
Like the thing with the new generation is they don't do that. They're like, Megan, I don't need to be a rapper. I don't need bars. I don't need to,
because people tell them that they should. And I kind of agree with people like Lil Yachty when someone's like, oh, you should do your homework. When he's like, I just want to... I rap because I don't want to do homework. Like, I want to be a rapper.
But at the same time, I feel that they still have to give respect, at least to the pioneers. Otherwise, I mean, because they literally wouldn't be able to be where they're at without them. It would still be a very neighborhood thing that wouldn't be making anybody any money. Because I'm balling right now.
I just want to say for the record, his name is XXX Tentacion.
Tentacion.
Nah, man, let's not give that.
I knew I was saying it wrong, and I don't care because he's new.
I just want to make sure that somebody says
It ain't that he's new, it's that he's a bad human being with a sexual charge. Look into it.
Well, let's bring it back to this album. We kind of got a little off topic there. My fault. I apologize.
No, it's good. Take control.
I know. This is my interview. Acre, how did you find these? How'd you guys find each other, I guess, to work with each other?
Oh, that was so adorable.
Yeah, I know. Find each other, soulmates
How'd you do
in
it?
life. Well, I know you two from the hip-hop scene, but
Same thing.
I know he's never really been out and about.
So if I can do this relatively fast, I've been rapping and recording since I was like 13, roughly, off and on, just different random projects. I stopped for a long time because I just didn't have that kind of drive. I'd done a lot of projects with Joe Berwick, who also goes by Prince Joe the Don, who was really big with our biz back in the day. And then I basically just stopped. I was at a picnic and I bumped into this kid named Mike Chernikoff, who I heard him talking about Wu-Tang and just in the ether. And I was like, oh, a non-nerd, like insurance nerd. Let's go see what he has to say. I credit that with where I am today, like just having a conversation with that person. So through him, I met Taylor Wormwood, and I actually recorded a song with Taylor before I ever met him. We were on a released record before I ever met him. For the record, I pictured him as a short, bald guy.
I can see that.
Like genetically bald or shaved his head?
Yeah,
Especially given the song.
like shaved head.
Okay.
And then we kind of slowly just started to tie in together through projects via Mike, who goes by Mr. Soap.
Shout out.
And I had... I try to bring people into my sphere. I want to work with people as much as I can, or do whatever they're doing. You know this, when we've worked on stuff together. I like suck people in and try to get them to like be creative and help them or do what I can to like make projects happen. And Taylor Wormwood was talking about maybe stepping back from rap for a bit, and we had started a song, and I wanted to finish it, and I was like, "That's cool, man. I totally support your journey. Go do whatever you need to do. I understand that feeling of wanting to kind of do something different. Just help me finish this song." And from that, that one song, we now have 4 records.
Yeah.
1 released, 3 unreleased, and we're that was 4 years ago.
Right.
So throughout that process, Taylor Wormwood and I became better and better friends. Tons I met just out playing live shows. I mean, I did a couple of live things back in the day. I don't do it anymore, but we met that way. And then just being in the scene, I talked to him. I opened for him for a show 2 years ago, and then his relationship to Wormwood, he became a friend of mine, friend of a friend. And was that the question? How did I get involved in these two? Yeah. So it was over the stretch of like 7 years, maybe 7 or 8 years, and just a real long process that led to this road.
Yeah, we played at the Elks in like 2009 or something.
That was the first time I think I met you.
Yeah,
and it was notable because back then there was a producer named Digicide, and I heard Tons perform a song, and I was like, this is interesting because I had a whole song to the exact same beat from the same producer, and I went up to him and I was like, I just want to let you know that I also have a song to this beat. And he's like, oh, crazy. Like, because he just didn't tell us that he'd been giving it to like multiple people. Right. So that's kind of how we met with, I think Linkletter was there.
Yep. Shout out Linkletter.
Yeah. And,
I live in your house now.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard not to bump into somebody in this scene. I mean, we all, at least I feel like I have a vague idea of who everybody in the scene roughly is. Cause it is, I don't want to say tight knit, but it's closed circuit. Closed circuit. Yeah. Closed circuit. There you go.
By not by design, just by
Population.
happenstance. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and anymore, I don't see, based on the availability of venues in Missoula and the style of music that is happening now with the internet, live is less of a thing. So you don't see. I don't see many 18-year-olds doing the newer style of hip hop that's out right now performing. One, because it's harder; they can't get the venue, and two, it's just not. It's you want to record it, get it on SoundCloud. That's it. So this group here is kind of the last of the Missoula group, I think.
Let's not call it last. Let's call it the middle.
What do you mean the loud?
Or the vanguard.
What do you mean of the Missoula group?
Help it,
of the MCs available or
Like,
out there doing it?
Well, he's right. I mean, it's a lot of internet stuff, and it's a lot of like people that can't book shows themselves because they don't know the people in the scene, but also they're the same people that have like 2,000 listens in a week.
But the availability of venues too is also going away. Like
The availability of the scene, period, venue or not. Like, there's not many people in this city anymore that want to put on shows they know they're not going to get guaranteed money from.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
That's another topic, but
It is what it is, man. It's the free market.
This town has gone through this a couple times. Like, I've been playing shows here since 1999, and I've seen this go up and down, and it'll revive itself. People are going to get sick of wanting to pay $22 to see one act when they could pay $3 to see 10. It's going to come back. Maybe not while I'm playing, but it's going to happen.
People will always want a place to go down, hear some tunes. We were talking earlier about how people don't really like to discover things anymore, and I do think that's true to an extent, but I also think it's true that it's one of the most magical experiences in modern civilization when you just randomly go into a bar, there's somebody playing, and you fall in love with it.
Yes.
That is really, honestly, in my mind, one of the best experiences you can have.
It's like finding $100 bill on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there'll always be a need for that, if not a want, if that makes sense.
And that's the thing, is I think the want is changing.
Yeah, I think
it
the
used
want
to be
is
a want.
definitely-
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Now it's got to be like, oh, I fell into this.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as Missoula specifically, I guess, it's going to grow and develop and change. And how it does that is, it's in our hands to an extent, and to a larger extent, it's not. So you just got to go with it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
You guys talked about Missoula being a closed circuit, I guess is the word you wanted to use. Is that do you find in that small of an environment, do you find that to be like a positive place to come up? You feel like people are more supportive in a smaller environment?
They used to be.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's an interesting question because it's like you would expect that. You know what I mean?
No, man. Honestly, since I've been Tonsofun, I've tried to organize things anywhere from like barbecues to basketball games to just hangout sessions with everybody in the scene. So there's more camaraderie. I made a very valiant effort to, even when I had problems with other MCs in Missoula, I would still show up to their shows just to show face, be there, support. And really, man, it comes down to the culture of this town. It's a very lazy town. It's a very comfortable town. People aren't going to leave their house unless enticed, to the extreme. Like, no, nobody really wants to just, these days, go to be at a place, even if they don't like the music or even if they just like one performer. It's like they need that guarantee of entertainment satisfaction in order to participate. I remember Jay's Upstairs being filled on a Tuesday with bands that were like, dudes like playing hours of the, gym bay, like that. People would still be there buying beers and like rooting for them, and the camaraderie was there. Now we just grew. We're like in that weird phase where we're not big enough to have an underground independent scene, but we're big enough to have all these big people come through town. So everybody saves up to go see the big people. They don't come to see the locals anymore. Like, the support for independent anything in this town is dwindling to like a very dramatic point, in my opinion.
Well, I was going to say, I notice a lot more bigger acts coming through town, but I've tended bar in this town. I keep an eye out, and I just see less and less shows, small local acts being advertised, it seems.
Because we don't get the chance.
And those big bands that are coming through don't necessarily have that opening spot for an opener.
Right.
Local opener.
They are self-sufficient, so they're able to do a whole show. They have a whole package.
Yeah.
And then to have a local on is sort of more like I'm not gonna say auxiliary. I'm gonna say it's like a ritual almost. It's like,
well, and that too. It's like there's no real team. Like when people did, like when we did our album release, I went and printed the flyers. I went and hung up the flyers. You know, like the that's also part of the support is people like helping you promote and like, you know, it's when you know, what's that? Watsky plays 4 days in the same bar after you play, and he sells out. And we're local, and I've been playing music in this town for well over 15 years. And, you know, it's just, it's a disheartening situation that the Missoula scene is in right now.
What do you think can make a change?
I just want
people need to come out, man. They need to come out. They need to share your friends' music. You need to listen. You need to buy your friends' albums. You need to show up and pay that $3 to come see your friends rap. You say you support, but then you don't show up. And then you go to a show 4 days later and pay $20 to see somebody you don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, and
to just to piggyback off that, I do want to say that we do have people in town that listen and appreciate, and we love every single person that comes out. And if anything, I want to encourage people to come out to more local shows because it is fun,
and you'll be surprised.
Yeah, and it is love. It's like a big positive experience. Honestly, it's not what you're expecting if you're expecting some kind of static.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It's fun, and it's
I'm getting heated.
It's true though. Like I do absolutely agree that the expression of support and love for local acts is dwindling. And, you know, I really just all I can see us doing in the face of that is continuing to produce dope content, continuing to big up everybody who big ups us, and to keep it sort of growing and evolving like that. Like, I don't really see us being able to,
unless we start paying for shows.
Right. Hey. Yeah, you know, there's always that sort of thing. But I do just want to make it very, very clear that everybody who investigates and decides to mess with us, we love y'all. And we appreciate everything that does happen.
Absolutely.
And it's just
I want to bring it back to your album real quick. You mentioned the album Swamp or the song Swamp earlier. Mm-hmm. I love the scratching on it. Who did that?
It was DJ Zoll out of Orange County, speech impediments, 4-finger ring. Yeah, been messing with that dude since 2012. Went on tour with him in Abstract Rude, and the guy just kills it. And he's good people. Super hilarious.
That track really stood out to me as well as Oblong Contusion. Yeah. I feel like that one for me anyway stood out of the album. A little stood apart. Your wordplay, tons. You have so much to say. It feels like in some of these songs, it's almost like you can't get it out fast enough. But on that song, I felt like your wordplay and just the way you played with syllables and stuff, you slowed it it just sounded a lot different. Did you guys feel that as well when it came out? Did it sound different? Or
that's one of my favorites. Actually, honestly, I think each song on the album sounds different from the song previous.
Totally.
You know, I really think that we did a great job of utilizing each single song as its own piece of art.
Yes, absolutely. For Oblong specifically, I mean, I would say that each time we sit down to write, we're influenced by the beat. And so for that one, it has that sort of lanky, like sort of Jungle Cat feeling.
That song is a perfect example of us being musicians and not just wordsmiths, because we're playing to the beat instead of playing the beat.
I guess, yeah, I'm not a musician, so I didn't really know how to phrase that, but that's the full vibe I got from it.
When you asked that question, like the reason I said musician so quickly is because the beat is always the catalyst of how the song's going to go, not my lyrics. I never write lyrics and then apply them to a beat. I use the beat to write my lyrics.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
I would agree with that.
And how about you, Wormwood? When you get a song, do you hear the beat first and then write to that beat, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, this sort of goes back to how we tend to use every single part of a beat that's sent to us. Like, I view that as
the whole buffalo.
I view that as a challenge in a way, just to sort of like it influences not necessarily the content, but the way that it's presented. You know what I mean? It's sort of like the packaging of the message of that particular song is definitely influenced by the beat and like where the bridges are, where the changes are. Like there's a lot of different factors sometimes with a beat you don't really like, even if it's just loops, then it falls upon you as the lyricist to sort of insert order where once there was none.
I like that. And did all the beats come from Acre and Wade Made on this album?
100%. That was, I would say that was not even like a debate, or like it wasn't
It was
even,
what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's Oblong Contusion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand up. Let's stand up.
Yeah, man. Yo. Once again, shout outs to everybody that messes with us, dude.
Yeah, much love.
Shout out to Codep, shout out to Rude, shout out to Talis, IMI, all those guys. Still got faith in the social contract, a purposeful react. The days will stretch way beyond that. The phantom thing of mood never dampens what we do. Get a plan that gets you stuck in glue. Trap is how you move. Max is how I tend to turn the knob of pressure though. Pressure my reality. Perhaps extraterrestrial. Fire in the sky got me feeling like Travis Walton. Beyond the bend of progress, the fates talk often. Still the gas where we're this group. Beard as big as Zeus, bro. I feel like I am made of mountain. Half brother to Zeus, I'm so Hephaestus. Coming up, I feel festive. The more your time remains a grinding, oh so relentless. Fell flame is what's been running through my veins. A bit of change, no pardon you reaping what you gleefully slay. To keep a change doesn't make for a very fine suit. Gave your zeal to the man that is coming down on you. Gadzooks, damn shoot, damn shoot, damn shoot, damn shoot, hey.
Speak, nay, scream.
Speak, nay, scream.
Lucidly maneuver through pursuit. I choose to move with minimal attachments. All my eggs in one basket. The influence from the suit is zero proof. I'd like to envision my whole life I wasn't a rap and stand my hand to get back in. Formally identified 9 to 5 deprived the man of getting his in the back and I admit it, I combated. I'm glad that I did it. It only lasted a minute till I have to go back to the slave wage until that day is present. I'm present to build my independence for the president. It's irrelevant when your mind's made up to go get it. The picture I fit in is mindful creation, takes time, motivation, a grind with no payments. But until I die, laying flat on the pavement, I'm gonna live how I choose and how my days spent. I'm fine with this amazement, always on time and I pay rent. Changes I save them, actions conceptualize greatness.
All along the path, there was cast of evidence. We paid it no attention. I was subject to its heavy grip. Slipped through the air, saying through an hourglass. Lighter touch, different subject. How the hours pass, everybody wants to get past a hard bit. Trapped in all that aversion, you still became a target. The roots that tried to warn us, but the message couldn't parse it. While trapped in underwater markets.
A large part is perceived far flesh and disheartened. A life as an artist is Martian in most parties. But outside impression is never lasting with message. Unless you really vet it, it's impossible to call it uncredible. I'll rip you with the polished tongue, make your opinion go belly up. Change your mind with only a song. From laughable and compatible to honorable and beloved. Styles incomparable, my flavor's so robust.
Talk ceaseless, all we get. Follow the string to its natural conclusion. All thinking, God we slipped a cut, a bruise, an oblong contusion.
And normally I'd be killing the harmonica right here. I'd be doing like dweedle, 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 dwee. Stuff like that you'd be really impressed with. Because you didn't see a rapper being able to harmonicize. I invent words too, harmonicize. Yeah.
Yo. I harmonicize while they anonymize. I autonomize while they see in the eyes. I've been trying to go, man. You ain't trying to know that. I'm just trying to blow back, waiting for the blowhead. You ain't gotta understand inside the flow that I ain't really got the knives in the whole can. So you know I gotta really get the whole treasure. Hoping that you know I'm more, nevertheless.
All right. You guys mentioned earlier going on tours coming up. You guys want to promote those? Tell us where you're headed.
I'm doing a little So Indie run, minus Worm with Homeboy Dar, shout out. Keep Records. And we're going to be doing just a little weekend thing. We're going to be doing Olympian. We're going to be doing PDX.
All right.
And yeah, be fun.
And how about, what about you? What do you
I mean, I don't want to like proclamate from the top of the mountain or anything, but I have been definitely putting into motion something in the Midwest for the late fall, early winter. We have a lot of homies from Columbus to Rock Island, Illinois, a lot of places in between. And I've been emailing and putting in some time off and on. Nothing super serious yet, but that's my next goal. My next stated goal is to tour the Midwest.
Okay. Acre, you have anything coming?
Nothing touring. We're just finishing up final mixes on an album that I did with Taylor. Excuse me, God, it's force of habit. Wormwood, Grayson, and my buddy Eric. And it's kind of like a side project we started on because we were recording all these albums. And I was like, well, I got you guys here, so why don't you just rap on these beats? And then it turned into like a 3-year project that has gone in fits and starts, but it's finally done. And it's an excellent record. It's fun. It's like basically a 40 minute crew cut.
Yeah.
Just like do the best verse you can, and beats are really interesting, and that's probably going to come out, I don't know, maybe early fall. We haven't really put a date on it, but this year.
Yeah.
So that's my next thing.
I know,
and I'm recording my solo for late this year.
Excellent. You guys, tons, Worm. You got projects coming down?
Yeah, I'm actually in the midst of recording my next solo project. Know You Are, recording it with the Embassy and Acre, and that should be coming out fall of this year.
Any plans to work together again?
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're already
on
top of it. Yeah.
Cool. I always feel like as a fan of hip hop, some of my favorite MCs, I feel like they save their best verses for when they're on either working with someone or a guest spot on an album. So I'm always excited. I love.
There's just something to be said about the energy it takes creating a song with somebody else in the room. You know, you're limited to yourself, and by that I mean you're limited to your own criticisms more than when somebody else is in the room. When you have somebody, because anytime I finish a verse, I'm like, that sucks. I'm gonna start over. But having somebody else in the room being like, as I'm rapping it, being like, yeah, like it makes you feel better about it. And in reality, you never needed to scrap it to begin with. Like getting out of your own head.
Right, you're your own worst critic when you're by yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Overwork it. I have a couple just questions here at the end, kind of wrap up, lighthearted. What's your favorite condiment? I mean, if you had to pick one.
Hot sauce of any kind.
Hot sauce? All right.
Hot sauce is good. I'm going to say a nice stone ground mustard.
Classy. I like that.
I probably use ketchup on more things than any other condiment, but lately, peanut sauce.
Oh, coming in with the side curve. All right.
I like it.
That's
All right.
That's coming up in the wings.
Sexiest animal.
I mean, I think it's a tie between a panda and a tiger. Siberian white tiger, mind you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All shapes are beautiful. I don't know why you're trying to get me to
pick a side. I like that.
I'd have to say it was a deer. They're graceful, or like a gazelle or something. I don't know. That's a weird headspace to get in because you got to be like, well,
Is it weird that my first thought was octopus?
That's
yeah, but kind of a kink. I like that. That sort of peels the layer back on
definitely, you. Yeah. Definitely got some.
You just said kink and peels the layer back in the same sentence.
Right?
I mean, you'll be coming away with some hickeys off that one, boy.
We're all revealing something about ourselves in this interview. Well, that's all I have, you guys. I had fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was dope.
Thank you very much.
A lot.
Go to wormwoodyaps.com to go check out the record. That's yaps as in talking.
Tell your friends about it.
Yeah, and we're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Apple Music.
How do they find you there? Everything Wormwood Yaps?
Speak Nay Scream is the name of the record.
Do you guys have any other sites, Instagram, anything like that you want to shout out to people?
I got an Instagram, Jim Tonsofun. Chip, chip.
I'm so happy he's on the internet.
I love it, dude. I'm getting there. I'm getting close.
I'm Wormwood Yaps on everything.
Okay.
And my MySpace is blowing up right now.
Excellent.
I got a really good Tumblr.
I hope you put me in your top 5.
My Friendster is featured on the front page every day.
I did just join Twitter, though. I can't figure it out, but I'm going to get there.
It's a fun one.
It's all about progression.
Once you figure it out, you're like, I shouldn't be on here. Way too hateful.
I shouldn't be here.
As long as I can tweet to my favorite hot celebs, shout out Minka Kelly.
What's up? I had a friend for a long time. That's what he would do every day. He'd wake up in the morning and he'd tweet at 5 celebrities, just random stuff. Just like he'd either link them to his music or he'd just say, "Hey, what's up?" But every day,
Did it work?
No.
No.
If you're just randomly sending stuff out into the ether, it's not going to work. If you
I don't know. Cardi B hits me back on Instagram.
hey, there you go.
but
There
I
you
am
go.
hella charismatic.
You are definitely. Acre, how do they find you?
28 Razors is the Instagram, Facebook, website. It's 28RZRS or 28RAZORS spelled out. 28razors.com.
Are you open for commissions?
I'm open for whatever. Music, commissions. Yeah,
Hire this
painting.
man.
I got you.
All right, you guys. Thank you.
Better than you ever could have thought, yeah. Tons of fun, believe my verse is never right, yeah. Wormwoods, we just ready to blossom off, and right now he's taking it up because
Ready to blossom, ready to be classified as something more than awesome. Ready to really go and really like awesome. Oh, ain't they feel the thread like blossom. I might just have to clean it. Might just be the kid under the own scene it. And I might just be the kid with the view too scenic. Might just be the one who means it. Hey, just trying to break out of the loop. 105.5, that's the way that we do. Might just hype up and do.
You are listening to
105.5
on your FM dial.